take next?
Lights, makeup, and screams. Mad World is back and better than ever.
Every year we adding things, so a lot of stuff on the trail has been changed, has been updated. There's been new areas, new rooms, new additions.
From food to the mini games to the haunted house itself, there's something here everyone can enjoy. Since opening 12 years ago, Thompson says they are seeing record numbers.
Our attendance have grown, and so this year we're hoping for the same.
I also decided to swallow my fear and walk through.
Oh!
Needless to say, I did my best, but they got me.
Oh, that's it! Oh, you're just in time for dinner!
More than once. But the owner says it's all about being a part of the community.
We love it. We love to our customers. We love to see the excitement, the scares, the screams from them every year, and we're excited to see this season and open up and see what our customers think about it.
The lovely Loretta Holloway.
Now I don't remember what day it was.
Belton native Loretta Holloway has enough stories of her adventures to fill a library. One story at the top of her list is when she performed for the longest reigning monarch in England's history. And all those memories came flooding back when she heard.
I saw the news flash on that Queen Elizabeth had passed. And I went, oh my goodness.
She says she was given the opportunity while performing in Thailand.
He said, how would you like to sing for Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip in a Royal Command performance? I said, piece of cake, let's do it.
The invitation brought her to Australia.
This is my first visit to Australia. And I must say, you really know how to make a girl feel very special.
It was in 1982 for their Commonwealth Games. So all of the Commonwealths were represented. I'm gonna be spending time with you. Every day's a new day in love with you.
It was a memorable performance, but she says meeting the Queen was just as memorable.
How beautiful. Star of the night, Queen Elizabeth. You have a picture of us looking up at the balloons. She and I are looking up at the balloons. And so the curtain opens, and I said, greetings from America. She was quite personable. She was quite warm and very, gracious. I was looking at all the diamonds and her little purse and the dress.
Today, she still can't believe a young girl from Belton will forever be connected to the Queen long after she's gone.
Because I had never played the Sands Hotel, but the Dunes Hotel I had.
Wilfredo Leon is from Puerto Rico and moved to South Carolina in the 80s. Over the course of time, he noticed something was missing.
Seeing what was going on with the Hispanic community, I saw the need for information.
So, in 1996, he started the Latino newspaper as a way to get information to those in need. But Leon says he's not a journalist.
Because that's not what I am. I look at myself as a community activist, and I want to be able to make our community a better place for everyone, not just Hispanics.
Leon started printing 8,000 papers a week, a number that grew to 35,000 towards the end of production. The paper was distributed across the entire state of South Carolina. Leon says the success of his paper inspired others to start their own.
A signal that there was a need and that I was not the only one seeing the need. And there were other people that were trying to feel the same need, maybe, in a different manner, a different way.
Leon says while turning the page on the paper was tough, he understands the future is in good hands, and he hopes to continue to serve the community, but in a different way.
Now, I want to continue engaged, but I want to be more of a counselor, more of a guide to people that are in the trenches doing what I used to do.
I feel amazing that we got a store on this side of town now.
One by one, people from across the south side of Spartanburg loaded up their carts. Day Councilwoman Ruth Littlejohn says has been a long time coming. This is after the only grocery store in that part of town closed in 2019.
We started immediately in search of another grocery store, and it has been a long haul. However, we are grateful to the Piggly Wiggly owners for investing in this community.
This forced hundreds of people to travel miles just to get basic necessities, and join the other 23 million Americans that live in a food desert.
Susan Cruz has lived in the upstate 35 years, but never frequented Paris Mountain State Park until 2020, when she got her new pup, Bodie, and the pandemic hit.
We didn't have to wear a mask outside or anything, and it was like everything was normal, so that was a blessing.
The Rangers say Cruz isn't the only one who retreated to the great outdoors.
In the past about 3 or 4 years, we've just about doubled our visitation. So we are now seeing about 500,000 people a year, which is great. We're glad to have everyone come out to the park.
But new plans could help the heavily treaded state park accommodate these outdoor enthusiasts. This week, Greenville County Council approved its second reading of plans to donate 270 acres to the 1,700-acre state park.
Senior Park Ranger Dan Neary says the prospective land sits just a short hike away from Mountain Lake and could add to the nearly 17 miles of trail already in Paris Mountain State Park.
Rebel fans, parents, and students were game ready Friday, and so was the security team. District officials say they are always working to stay ahead of the game when it comes to security.
One of the first in the state to have SROs in the school. And then when it started growing even more, right before Columbine, even after Columbine shooting, then we started having more needs for SROs in school.
They saw this coming prior to probably any of the other shootings as far as wanting to plan armed officers inside the school.
Okay, find it.
A unique safety edition now walking the halls in Lawrence District 55.
Several months ago, back in early of last school year, we had a couple of issues where we had guns on campus. And we really wanted to do something to help deter and also detect guns.
The district already brings in drug tracking dogs periodically, but Lawrence police say Canine Kane is different.
There are not many canines out in the state of South Carolina or all around that actually do article searches and firearms detection.
Up. There you go.
Gunpowder, actually firearms, and actually ammunition. So that's actually a different type of training that the narcotics dogs do not have.
Officers say Kane can detect these different types of weapons in cars, buildings, packages, or school lockers, and he'll alert officers when he detects something.
The city of Greenville started work this week on restoring and conserving 4 acres of wetlands on Unity Park's northern periphery. These wetlands formed long ago around the original flow of the Reedy River, before the Works Progress Administration, along with city engineers, diverted the river's flow in 1933 to where it is today.
The Unity Park wetlands is a unique feature because it's an urban wetland located in the city limits of Greenville. So you don't see that very often, and it's a unique habitat for a variety of all sorts of wildlife. Birds, reptiles, amphibians, all take advantage of wetlands.
Just like the one built in Kyana'S Nature Preserve.
Not only will law enforcement officers have bulletproof vests, now firefighters in Spartanburg County will suit up in these vests because they're often the ones on the front lines of an active shooter situation.
When you think of an active shooter situation, you often think of law enforcement officers, but they're not the only first responders on scene.
The old saying is, if you need something, call the fire department. We do just about anything that we're called upon to do.
The Converse Fire Department is adding yet another piece of equipment so firefighters can run in head-on, whether it's a fire or active shooter.
You get in, treat, and get out as quickly as possible.
With the help of a donation from BASF, the fire department now has 6 bulletproof vests, which will ride on its main engine and other trucks.
This is not your typical day in the classroom.
I mean, every day when it's sunny and it's blue sky or everything, it's boring to me. So seeing things being pushed to their limits, seeing the wind and its effect and how it can blow things around, and air and water and what that can do, it's exhilarating.
An atmospheric science student at UGA, Malik Bryant wants to be a meteorologist, but today he's a storm chaser.
We wanted to come to Charleston mainly to find a safe spot to get a real-world experience of what we're learning in all of our classes about how storms and how they actually affect the people that whenever they move on land, how they actually affect people's lives and what that looks like.
Though the junior hoped to see hurricane-force winds, he said he worried for the people of Charleston. The city has a history of street flooding,
one that most everyone kept in mind Thursday as locals boarded up windows, sandbagged doors, and got vehicles to higher ground. As Ian moved closer and closer to the coast, streets closest to the ocean began to fill with salty, rushing water. Bryant and his friend say they're taking precautions and hope others are as well.
Members of the Greenville chapter of the River Runner organization were getting some practice in at the Prisma Health Center before their next trip out on the water. For chapter coordinator Chad Jones, these practices are just one step on their journey.
The river has a very powerful influence on them. It humbles you in one regards, but it also builds you and gives you courage in another regards.
Veterans of all ages at all skill levels were there to learn the basics or take the next step and learn from a professional kayak athlete. Jason Burdett suffers from PTSD. He says this organization has changed his life.
Extremely good, because it's like I'm more relaxed, just a totally different person, happier.
Most high school seniors are worried about getting through a normal day of class, but for one Hillcrest senior, his day really starts after the bell.
Inequalities. Hi, I'm Landon Hollingsworth, and I'm 17 years old, and I'm a professional pool player. This year, I'm currently ranked second in the 18U and second in the Pro-Am. You actually pick up a pool cue. It's not that simple. It takes a lot of time and dedication and hard work. To me, the break is one of the biggest parts of the game, so that's something that I always work on. Right after the break, it's kind of like it's mental. Basically, when I go into a tournament, I just tell myself I'm ready to play.
But in November, Hollingsworth's passion is putting him on a world stage.
To represent Team USA in the Junior World 9-Ball Championships in Puerto Rico. I'm honored to represent the United States because I'm privileged, because not every kid gets this opportunity that plays pool. Right now, my focus is on this game 100%, so we'll see where I get.
Floating, treading, and holding your breath. Just some of the things you can learn from the Aqua Angels team.
There are a lot of social anxieties or traumas that people deal with when it comes to swimming, and reasons why they haven't learned to swim up until coming to us.
Founder Rebecca Craig says she understands the need for adults to learn how to swim, especially in minority communities. She hopes by having these lessons for free, people will sign up.
We eliminate all excuses. Just show up, put a smile on your face, and have a good time.
The American Red Cross is reporting 10 people die each day from unintentional drownings. On average, 2 of them are under the age of 14. And 64% of African Americans, 45% of Hispanic Latinos, and 40% of Caucasian children have few to no swimming skills. These stats hit hard for Brookside pool owner Leonard Pitts. His sister drowned in 2020, and that's who Aqua Angels is named after.
I think that she will be very, very pleased. I really, really do, yes. I know that she will be pleased, I know.
Craig says so far this summer they've had more than 400 people sign up, with an average of 30 showing up each lesson. And at the end of each lesson, they finish with a soul train. Everyone lines up and shows the class what they learned.
So these lessons have really given me confidence of getting in the water, giving me more skills, and also the confidence being able to save myself. If I feel like I'm drowning, it gives me the know-how to do what I need to do in order to feel confident again, regain my confidence in the water.
For information on how to sign up, head over to WYFF4.com. In Malden, Carlos Flores, WYFF News 4.
You hear a lot about the demand for pilots and flight attendants, but the demand for aircraft maintenance techs, the people who make it all happen, is higher than upstate instructors have ever seen.
I can remember when I started back in 2001, we didn't know if the program was going to even last.
Now, Greenville Tech's aircraft maintenance program is expanding. The table's turning as the college tries to keep up with the soaring demand.
The companies are starting to complain, it's starting to cut into their profit because they can't get technicians to fix airplanes.
In a 2022 Boeing report, the company expects a demand for 610,000 new maintenance techs over the next 2 decades.
I was a full-time business owner with my dad, but I've done it my whole life, and I knew that it wasn't something I could rely on. So with that being said, I just needed something that I could just have a steady income with and then do what I love the most, and that's mechanic.
This is something that really, I guess I've had in my heart for a long time that I've wanted to do. You know, I talked about with aviation anyway, so I think that's more what drove me towards it. I always had a passion for it.
I'm not 100% sure where I'm wanting to go exactly, if I'm wanting to work on small aircraft, go to a place that works on like engines.
Instructor Carl Washburn says they're also working with Clemson to offer some online classes to high school students looking to start the 2-year program early.
You can name an airline somebody's hiring our students. I'm getting calls from Wisconsin and from Wyoming and from all over the country looking to hire technicians. Everybody is short technicians.
In Greenville, Kylie Jones, WYFF News 4.
We need the bad days to help us really truly appreciate the good days.
Dennis Gillen had 2 especially bad days, 11 years apart.
I lost Mark in '83, Matt in '94.
Both to suicide. Gillen decided to talk about it. A lot of his talks to high schoolers and college students.
I brought some students up on stage and I was speaking about suicide prevention at a fundraiser for the University of Delaware. And I brought 3 students up on stage and Stephen was one of them.
I was like, I have no idea. I'm kind of a wing it guy. And he's like, yeah, we don't really wing it in this field.
Stephen Peel shared his own story of a day he'd never forget.
A kid came up to me before last period of school, and I had just got some new shoes, and he comes up to me. Wasn't like a good friend or anything like that. And he just goes, "Hey man, nice shoes." And like that day that I was gonna end everything, I went home with a smile on my face.
Months later,
and I said, I can't get that story out of my head. Do you mind if we do something with it? And we decided, how about a children's book?
They called it Nice Shoes.
Carla said, hey Derek, nice shoes. We don't mention the word suicide in the book. We just said he was sad and he thought every day was going to be like this, and that's where we leave it.
Together, they penned the story Peel told up on that stage.
He started to worry that every day would be like this. Somebody notices him and says, Stephen, in the book it's Derek, says, Derek, I like your shoes, and that changes everything.
I just felt that there was a reason that I was dealt the hand that I was dealt.
To teach others, they're not alone.
For several years, Clemson Rural Health has been serving people in Walhalla.
Clemson Rural Health started there about 10 years ago on a mobile health clinic on Fridays to take care of the local community members.
And now it's expanding its care.
In 2018, the county actually asked us if we would move in and serve as a full-time clinic.
Clemson Rural Health recently opened a rural health clinic, providing care to people in the community 5 days a week, staffed with doctors, nurse practitioners, dietitians, and other providers.
Nursing. Since opening, we've had lots of new patients come in. We have walk-ins every day. We've got new patients calling to establish, so we're excited to see how much we can grow over the next few years.
According to Clemson Rural Health, more than 700,000 people in South Carolina live in rural areas. Caitlin Kickham with Clemson Rural Health says this clinic is needed to help improve access to care for people living in the area.
When you get to Walhalla, the town of Walhalla, it's a little bit past downtown Seneca, where most of the medical care for Oconee County is. So this clinic was needed for the people that live in those northern parts of the county.
It is also a bilingual clinic.
In that community, there's lots of Spanish-speaking people that live around Walhalla. They work at our local farms in the local areas, and they don't travel to Oconee County because there's not a lot of other Spanish-speaking providers. So staffing it with our Spanish-speaking providers provides access to care that they otherwise wouldn't receive.
The clinic providing care to people in the Walhalla community for years to come.
More than 400,000 American service members died in World War II. More than 70,000 of them are still considered missing in action. But for one family in Spartanburg, they finally have the closure they deserve. Bobby Walker Jr. says all the memories he has of his grandfather are in these pictures.
Didn't really know a whole lot. We'd heard the story about him being killed in a war, but I never knew what branch he was or nothing until got a little older and got more curious and involved in it.
As he researched, he learned his grandfather was flying over Oldenburg, Germany on a mission. That's when Staff Sergeant Walker and his crew took heavy fire, which forced them to bail out.
View of the actual prison camp, Stalag Luft 6.
They were eventually captured by German forces and taken to Stalag Luft 6, a prisoner of war camp.
It was really kind of an amazing story, because imagine being shot down out of the sky on B-17 and captured and eventually killed.
Walker was only one of 3 Americans who died in that POW camp.
Oh, that's him.
It wasn't until 1992, after Lithuania declared its independence, that the federal government started looking into Walker's case. With the help of dental records and DNA analysis, Staff Sergeant Walker was officially accounted for earlier this summer.
I just never even dreamed it'd be possible, because after so much time and so long, but the United States government don't give up on their lost veterans like that. They got a team out there right now looking for more of them.
As for his grandson, he looks at the few pictures he has, some of the documents he was given, and remembers the stories he was told, but can't help but wish his grandfather was here to tell it himself.
Well, you can't help wonder what it'd been like, if you'd have made it, how different things would have been, and imagination just thinks of all kinds of stuff.
So I don't care what the devil does here, my ending is here.
Pastor John Gray took to the stage slowly Sunday as he works to get back into the swing of things. This is after he was admitted for a saddle pulmonary embolism, a life-threatening blockage that can stop blood flow to the lungs. He says the decision not to drive home after visiting family in Alabama made the difference.
That saved my life, because had I gotten on the road, I would have died in the car. Instead, as she was driving, I told my mother-in-law, I got to go to the emergency room.
It was there at the hospital that Gray was tested. He then waited for what was to be the beginning of a new journey.
Somebody else walks in and says, we need to take you to ICU right now. You have blood clots in your lungs. And it just took the wind out of my sails.
He was told if the clot moved an inch either way, he would die, leaving him questioning his life.
If I died today, did I live my life in a way that is reflective of my core values? Did I leave my children a legacy? Did I love my wife? Did I grow? Did I become more than what I was?
He then reflects a time he describes as the space between life and death, an arena of light.
I saw a place that's described in the Bible. I saw it. And as I was getting ready to step into that arena, I saw it. I was walking in and something pulled me back. And I believe that was God saying, it's not your time.
Doctors told Pastor Gray they were hoping the clot would break up within 6 months, but instead, it broke up in just 3 days.
One of the doctors said, you can't discount the power of prayer. And I know that the world was praying. I know that my church was praying. I know that my kids were praying. And I'm the product of prayer. And that humbles you.
Pastor Gray is now looking at life from a different lens, a lens of humility, of love, and of a deeper faith than he has ever experienced.
I see hope. I see potential. If you're alive, you got a chance. That's what I learned. You can live your life full of regrets, but if you got another day, you can start again.
Doyle and Victoria Campbell have been married for more than 30 years. They know each other about as well as you could. And so in 2017, when they noticed Doyle wasn't himself, they had questions.
And he started having some memory problems.
Doyle was diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. It has since progressed to Alzheimer's disease.
I didn't want people to know about it, and I'd stayed away from people.
And up until a few months ago, he kept his diagnosis a secret. That began to change when Victoria saw our very own Jeff Hart publicly share his Alzheimer's diagnosis on air with our Jane Robelo.
I don't have one regret on anything. I'm just blessed. I'm just blessed.
She and Doyle went to the Ride to End Alzheimer's in July, where they met Jeff and his wife, Sarah.
Then Sarah and Jeff wanted to put Doyle's name on the back of his bib. And that was very touching, knowing that they cared enough about him to put his name on the bib and to ride to Charleston. Jeff just doesn't know how much he has helped us.
He helped a lot.
This weekend, he'll be a Blue Flower representative at the Walk to End Alzheimer's, meaning he'll now share his story.
I hope I can help somebody.
God didn't give him disease for no reason. God knew he could handle it, and God knew that he could help others. I don't care what I need to do to take care of him. I consider it an honor. It's an honor.
She's been good to me.
In Lawrence County, Taggart Houck, WYFF News 4.